Hello, hello. Hey, Kat, nice to meet
Hello.
you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Hi, Kat.
Wade,
Hey, Charlotte.
I finally put a face to the name. Great to meet you unofficially.
Your target demographic.
How's everybody doing today?
Great.
I can't hear you, Charlotte.
All right.
I can hear her.
I can hear her.
Hey, Judy.
Hey, I can hear Charlotte.
I can't hear you either.
Yeah, it's you.
Oh, maybe if I turn my volume up, that would help.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah. Hey, awesome. Vicky, great to see you. Look lovely today. There's Amy, Mike. All right, I hope you have your notepads handy because this is going to be absolutely incredible today and tons of notes. Amy, great to see you. Hi, Mike. We're going to wait one more second. There's Daniel and Nikki. All right, I think everybody's here except for Mason. There he is. All right, welcome everyone. So great to see all of you. This is my first work day. I have been off all day dealing with, personal stuff and mom stuff and house stuff and repairmen. And I'm sure you have days like that when you can't focus on work and you have to focus on here or your house or whatever. So perfect timing for this workshop today. I am recording today and I will share notes with you, action steps, but the most important part will be the 3 times I'm going to ask you to do some homework. Hi, Jason. Welcome, welcome. All right, so mastering these strategies, I want you to think about, just take a minute and think about what extreme focus and a 50% increase in your productivity would do for your business. Just think about what it would do for what you're able to get done and what you're able to accomplish on a daily basis, on a moment by moment basis, and how that would affect your business. Put it in the chat. Thanks, Amy. That's a great idea. Put it in the chat so you can see what each other is really thinking and why you're here today. And this work for me, if you don't know me, I'm an extreme learning person. I go deep on a topic in a really short amount of time. And I have spent the last 6 months studying focus and flow and how it relates to positive psychology, your mindset, and entrepreneurship. And there's some really cool things that I have discovered. One of those being that all the information ever in human history is now being repeated every day. So all of human history up to 2000, the year 2000, is now being created every single day. And we wonder why we're bombarded with information. And there's always more information to learn. Do you ever feel like that? Do you ever go on social media and just feel like, I literally don't know anything. I have this to learn and this to learn and this to learn. I'm going to solve that for you today. The second thing I'm going to do for you today is give you a clear look into the 3 top human needs that you are satisfying by being busy and trying to do too much at one time. So, spinning out of control, scrolling on social media, the more distracted you are, the more you do it because of that dopamine hit that we all get from social media. Does that sound familiar? Like the more time I was in the waiting room of a doctor's appointment today and I scrolled TikTok. I wanted to get back on it after the waiting room boredom because you get happy. Oh, cool cat video, cool dog video, cool, funny video, right? You want more of it. And one of the interesting parts, I'm going to share some statistics with you that are absolutely shocking. And I am going to be looking at my notes for these because I couldn't possibly memorize them. The average 13 to 17-year-old exchanges 4,000 text messages a month, but only has 2 phone conversations.
Yeah.
What? That means that they're exchanging a message every 6 minutes that they are awake. 53% of people report checking email while driving. 61% continue to check email on vacation. And one study showed that office workers check and glance for a new email notification up to 40 times an hour. I haven't looked at it all day, and I don't know, that feels pretty good. 67% check phone messages, alerts, and calls even when they don't hear the phone ringing. And I want you to listen for your habit. What is the habit that you do that you're like, oh yeah, I do that, and we're getting to mine? 75% admit to using the phone while in the bathroom. Yeah, yeah. 30% say they never go without it. Yep, yep. 43% confess to checking email in the middle of the night. 35% check it before they get out of bed in the morning, before their feet have even hit the floor. Who does that? Oh, Amy. All right, we got you. 38% check it at the dinner table. And if just one of those things is you, I'm going to improve your focus today. And if you have 2 or more of those things, you might just have a new affliction called digophenia, the addiction to digital media. Huh, didn't know there was a new thing, did you? All right, so handwritten notes are really cool. I love taking notes for workshops. I hate slides, but I do have a slide to show you later on. And I want to just ask now in the chat, no, AI will not solve that. It's actually going to make it worse, Nation. All right, I want you to share in the chat what you believe is the most important skill of the 21st century by all research that's been happening. What is the most important skill for you as a business owner for the 21st century? Put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Now, here's a great statistic for you, and this is going to make you laugh because I love using humor. What would you give up to keep your phone? What would you give up in life in order to keep your phone? 1/3 of all of the 10,000 people polled for this poll, 1/3 said sex, 1/2 said caffeine, 2/3 said chocolate, exercise, alcohol, and 43% said they give up shoes for the rest of their shoes. You're going to give up shoes for the
Wearing
rest?
shoes or buying shoes?
Give up wearing shoes forever to keep your phone.
I go some pretty sketch places. That's not going to work.
Listen, me too. Like, there's no public restroom at Target that I'm visiting anymore, right? So why does this keep happening? Why, and what can you do? I'm going to explain to you the 3 basic human needs that once you hear these 3 needs, it's going to make so much sense to you why you're distracted and why it's hard to get projects completed. Number 1 is the wanting to be wanted. Online space. Shiny syndrome, if you're constantly looking at new things, you might be suffering from a need for novelty, need for something new. And free to feel important. Then your rules are more important you feel. So it's for you. It's a combination of all three. The first step in getting better at this is noticing. So let's teach each one, and I'm going to define my past 2 tips that you want to do. But before I do that, let's teach you again. And we discuss why this would be important for your business. Just share 1 or 2 little strategies that you think would improve and write them down, because at the end of today, I'm going to ask you for them. And do you think that that's actually achievable with the information that I give you today? How's that sound? Good? All right, let me do these breakout rooms. And it's not there. That's very strange. Hold on. There it is. And here we go. Couple minutes. So, how are you? Good? Can you hear me? David? Can you hear me? Nope. David, can you hear me? All right, welcome back. I'd love to hear from 2 or 3 voices what you said in the breakout room. Who wants to share? Anybody? You, Nikki?
Pat and I talked about collaborations, and we each had different experiences. I said I'm committed to cutting those out for 2024 until I'm profitable in my business. And I had a great experience collaborating with someone and actually having the event come to fruition and getting paid for it. So, knowing, working with other people is the way.
Yes. Nation shared with me some incredible questions to ask for collaborating on something. I'll be doing this video. I saw online because you kind of work and no one knew and it was those and thought, oh, next those. It really my process for me. So you don't know, put your LinkedIn in the chat, Nation. Amy, what do you want to share?
I thought it was interesting, and I won't call anybody out, so I won't say, but I thought it was interesting, the self-distraction of we have our list, but we're going to do the 5 quick, easy things first to feel accomplished instead of diving into the one that is probably a bigger project, but would have more ROI in some way.
Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's a great one. So thank you. All right, let's dive into the first one, wanting to be wanted. For those of you who look at every single email, like, comment, response, you're getting that little squirt of dopamine, thinking, oh, they like me. Oh, another like. And those vanity metrics can keep us addicted to email. A lot of people suffer from the working all the time syndrome, and that's what causes this. On social media, on email, on constantly, even while doing your hair or cooking dinner, you're still checking the phone. So if people around you are happy with you, right here, the people that are happy, if you guys in this room are happy with me, looking somewhere else is not going to do a thing for me. Just wrap your head around the person in front of you. If they are happy and they are benefiting from being with you, that's all that you need in the moment. Because multitasking is truly a task switching. And I won't even go into the damaging effects of constant task switching actually giving you ADD-like symptoms. So what do we do? And I want you to wrap your head around, at any given time in history, 49% of the population in the United States doesn't like the president. At any given time. Some presidents more than others, but this isn't a political conversation. But at the highest office in the United States, and 49% or something around there of people don't like him. Do you think it affects him on a daily basis? Probably not, no matter who the president is. So be leery of the people around you who make you feel bad for not participating in things. I have a couple of people in my life who try to guilt me into doing things. Oh, you need to be here. You need to be here. We need to know. And we're going to get to know in a little bit. I want you to remember who will cry at your funeral. That was my note. Remember who will cry at your funeral. That's the only people that you owe showing up to. The average person will only have 10 people at their funeral. And if it's raining, only half of them are going to go to the cemetery because of rain. So listen, what we're doing online and what we're doing in our business, we have a core amount of people happy. Your personal life is more important. Your spouse, your family, your children. So at 20 years old, put yourself at 20, you think everybody in the world is thinking about you. When you're at the one people you have on your face, God, everybody, you think everybody is thinking about you. Sometime around 30 years old, you start realizing, it's not so old. They finally say, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks of me. The pimple, the gray hair, the 10 pounds overweight. Why wait till you're 60? Just decide that now. And that's going to cut down that wanting to be wanted. And if you're going to continue a business online, this has been instrumental for me and so many of my clients. So what do you need to do? Here's your action step. Got your high performance thoughts is stop caring what other people think, and it'll reduce that need to be wanted. Right now, I want you to write down 3 people that you need to stop caring about what they think of you. 3 people, and it could be random people on LinkedIn. It could be a Facebook group that you stress about. It could be someone in particular. Maybe there's even someone in your family who doesn't know what you do and would never refer business to you, but yet you still strive to impress them or please them or explain to them what they do, what you do. So write down those 3 people, at least 3 people at least, that I no longer care what they think. Okay. Now, the second human need I want to talk about is novelty. This is mine. I love new stuff, new technology, new groups, new funnel diagrams. I actually have a folder on my computer that collects new funnel diagrams because I might need one someday. Ridiculous. But that what am I missing syndrome will leave you feeling unworthy and unsatisfied and constantly on the hunt for something that you think you're missing, that I'm here to tell you right now. Look for it long enough and you'll drive yourself crazy. Just decide right now that you're not missing something. And this is actually contributing to something called continuous partial attention. This always scanning the periphery for something, or in case something happens, in case an alert comes, in case somebody calls you, in case an email comes through. You might even be doing it right now. You might be looking over here, watching emails come over. And I want you to notice that that leaves you feeling busy, unsatisfied, overstimulated, wound up, overwhelmed, and it's the random reinforcement that you're not good enough, that there's something missing, that there's something you're looking for. So, long term, the studies have proven that the most important human discipline involved in long term success in business is the ability to forego immediate gratification for a larger but delayed reward. How many entrepreneurs have you met, business owners that you've met, haven't taken a paycheck in years, but they have a $10 million business? They're delaying that gratification for later. And it's something entrepreneurs need to really get good at if you want to have long-term success. And maybe it's not even money. Maybe it's long-term, just satisfaction in what you're doing. And your strategy is to change your mindset. And I have some tips to do that. This is the most important one because it's the homework spot I really notice that comes up the most in the online space. When I had a business before social media in the early 90s, it never came up. Never once did I compare myself to another pro snowboarder unless I was on the slope snowboarding next to them. Never once did I compare myself to another retail store chain owner unless I met them and we talked. I didn't know what their stores had. I didn't compare my shop to their shop. It was impossible to do that, but also very freeing. So here's the strategies to put you in that less than 1% of business owners. Spend less time following other people's lives and businesses and more time following your own. Separate the world from your world. This was huge. Separate the world on Instagram from my world in Marlton, New Jersey. It was huge. Be in the world, but not of it. This goes back to who are you being in your business? Are you being the CEO? Are you being the leader? Or are you following around like a bunch of sheep, doing what everybody else does? It's easier and more effective to control the inputs coming at you than to resist it. I'm not asking you to give up Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. No, they're needed for your business, but I'm asking you to control it. Put some boundaries, put some requirements. Many of you know I only check email once a day. What boundaries do you have around email, phone calls, inputs? Because without boundaries, you're putting out fires all day long and jumping from one thing to another. So what information do you need? What updates do you need? And then decide what the boundaries are around that. And there's a giant risk involved. A giant risk. You might miss something. You might miss something. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, that thing you miss is not the next thing that's going to make you $10 million. I guarantee it. So typically, your success will hinge on your willingness to put boundaries around these things. Let me know if that makes sense. That makes sense? How does that feel when you think about it? Like, crap, I need to put boundaries around my social media. Crap, I need to put boundaries around my email. And hey, Jeff, thanks for joining us. We are talking about the human need of novelty and what it looks like to put some boundaries around social media and email. So that willingness, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm not willing, 10 I'm super willing, put it in the chat how willing you are to risk missing something. Sounds silly. Of course, I don't want to miss something, but we have to. We have to miss 1%, 10%, 80%. 10x rule says if you want to 10x your business, you have to give up 80% of what you're doing. Holy crap. Let's be willing to miss out on some things. Okay, here's your homework. What parts of the world can you turn off at different times so you can improve your business? What parts of the world can you turn off? Is it news? Is it email? I talked a couple weeks ago to one of my groups about learning. And instead of learning 3 things at a time, doing a challenge, reading a book, watching a webinar on a totally different topic, I decided a couple months ago to learn 1 topic at a time. And if it doesn't fit into that topic, unsubscribe. Don't read it. Don't look at it. And let me tell you, the productivity has gone through the roof because it's very clear in my mind, if it doesn't have something to do with productivity, focus, or attention, and how it relates to success, I'm not reading it. It's not even landing in my inbox. Really cool. It's actually created more time for said learning. So what's that look like for you? Anybody want to share what things they're willing to turn off or put boundaries around? Maybe it's email. I love email boundaries. Check it once a day. And if it's important and you don't have my phone number, guess what? It wasn't important. Jeff.
Yeah, I regularly unsubscribe from newsletters. I like subscribing to just everything. And I've lately, it's like, if like what you just said, if I'm not getting something out of it, unsubscribe. I don't even have the time to delete it. Just get gone.
Yes, love it. Amy says she's unsubscribed from so much. The next step is unsubscribing from your friends. Oh, I have an email box just for those people.
Exactly, because I am a great Suzanne knows that, and Dan knows, like, connector, and I'm like, what if I unsubscribe and they see that I'm unsubscribed? Not that they were gonna like be mad at me. It's not that, but it's like I want them to know I support them.
Yeah.
But I've known them for 5 years. I know everything they do. They're already in my little black book. Like like I'm not reading it anyway.
Right.
Well, I'm going to give you. Oh,
I want a
ahead,
blog of every. When I'm ready to talk to you, I will go and read your entire opus. But until then, I know who you are. I know how to find you. Here's what I get away with, because every now and then people will call me out for unsubscribing. And I go, oh, but it was in my priority email account and I couldn't help it. So I subscribed again under a different email account. I go, okay, because they never check the subscribes. They only check the unsubscribes. You can lie about whether or not you resubscribe.
Well, I have my favorite tip is because I'm on probably 90% of your email list, and those emails go to a box that's just for that, just for the people I'm connected to. And next time I get on a Zoom with Jeff Goldberg, I go to that email box and search Jeff Goldberg, and I look through what he sent me in the past couple weeks. And is it anything we need to talk about? Let me notice that. That's how, look, I'm giving away a secret here. I know, but that is how it feels like I'm paying attention, because in the micro moment before I meet with Charlotte, or before I meet with Vicky, formation. I review what we talked about the last time, what you've emailed me since then. And it takes a split second to do that if you're organized about it. I don't need to do that on a daily basis. Does that make sense? Takes a little bit of practice, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. I want to ask, and this might be a hard question to ask, but just ask it of yourself. In what space do you need to be at mentally, emotionally, to finally say, I'm the CEO of my business and I decide what I do, where I'm going, who I hang out, all those things so that you can move forward without caring if somebody notices you unsubscribed. No. Just means you're not their ideal client. Now, your strategies for this, for thinking this way, 3 things. If you're rushing, don't mistake that for results. If you are rushing through something, do not mistake it for results. Number 2, don't mistake movement for achievement. Just because you're moving around at a frantic place, running from meeting to meeting to meeting, put that buffer time between meetings so that you're on time and you have 5 minutes to review for the next meeting. Movement is not achievement. Last one, activity for productivity. I met 40 people last week at 2 different networking events. I have not followed up with one of them. Now, why did I go? If I'm not going to follow up, follow through, connect with them, send them an email, why did I even take the time to go? Activity is not productivity. I wasn't productive in those moments because I just collected more people, and that does not do anything for your business.
Right. What could you have done in that hour?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause now you're even further behind. I mean, I say behind you if you never follow those people. I think, I don't know, I can't say for other people. I show up at some of those things because I know I'm well liked, right? It goes back to being, wanting to be popular.
Yeah.
People say nice things about me in the room. So.
Yeah. I think that's true for me too. I will share some strategies for our next tip, but on that point, wanting to be wanted and thinking that you're missing something, always looking for something new. If I'm always out there looking for a new group or looking for new people, how am I showing up for the ones that I have? Wrap your head around serving the people that you have in a more powerful way. And I don't know if anybody ever notices how I like to serve people, but you have to do it in a way that it feels good for you. And when you do that and you show up for those people more powerfully, maybe it's more often, more powerfully, more substantially, that comes back to you. That energy comes back to you. Jeff, you have your hand up again.
Yes. Is it possible that the event that you went to and the people that you met were simply not worth more time? And if you had met somebody where you said, oh, I got to follow up with this person, you would have already done that?
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But then again, for me, I show up just for one to stay top of mind. And if they want to find me, then they can find me. Sometimes it's not about me reaching out to anyone else or adding anyone on my bucket. It's giving them the opportunity to find me. That's different.
That is. And that is a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
That it takes most people years to be able to show up and not feel the need to follow up with people, to just say, I'm going to show up, and wherever I go, whoever's meant to be attracted to me is going to be attracted to me. That's a way better feeling to me. And if you're struggling with that, that's just a mindset shift to get into. All right, the third human need that I want to address today is being busy. That need to feel important. Busy, 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 accomplishing little. So I want you to think about the last time somebody said, "How are you?" And you said, "Oh my God, I'm so busy. What does that mean? It sounds like you're disorganized. It sounds like you're overwhelmed. It sounds like you don't have your shit together." Just saying. Busy can feel great. It can make you feel important. It can make you feel valued. Oh, look, all these people want me. But it's not productive, and you're distracted from your real work. Because when you're doing real work, you don't take phone calls. You don't look at email. When you are doing real work, it's impossible for anybody else to know it but you. And let me tell you, that little thing right there can make all the difference in you doing real work. Now, if you're constantly at work putting out fires, constantly, I have to do this, I have to do that. Guess what? You're most certainly not getting any deep, meaningful work done. And most of us in today's culture, we're obsessed with speed. We're obsessed with collecting accomplishments. Oh, I did 17 podcast episodes last month. Look at me. Oh my God. Isn't that amazing? No, it's not. And how about that to-do list? How many of you think that you're ever going to get your to-do list done? And that magical day is somewhere out there in fairyland. And when it happens and you cross off that last thing, that something magical is going to happen. How many of you think that? Ever going to get it done? Nope. You're never getting it done. It's constantly evolving. And I want to argue that the ability to do nothing, absolutely nothing, is actually the thing that's going to make you more productive. If you have that urgency addiction, everyone likes to look busy. I'm going to argue that the fact that this is my first hour at work today makes me look more like a rock star than if I was busy all day today. Many of you are probably scratching your head like, she didn't work on a Monday? All day? Yeah, because I prioritized some things for myself today. Now, active non-action. I want you to think about the last time you finished a day and you felt like you were done. You finished the day, 5 o'clock, and you were like, oh, I really got some great stuff done today. Think about how that felt. Think about what you did that day that made you feel accomplished, because we're psychologically conditioned from infancy to do what's fun and easy rather than what's hard and necessary. And this next step is hard, but it's really necessary. Something important is always going to come up while you're working. It's the ability to not see it and finish what you're doing that's the skill that's going to get your business to the next level. So I'm going to argue that if you're constantly putting out fires or looking at alerts on your computer while you're trying to do deep work, that is the justification for getting distracted when things get hard. If you're wired to do things that are easy and your brain wants the path of least resistance, notice when you're working and something gets difficult, what happens? Is that when you're getting distracted? Is that when you're getting up and going to the kitchen for a cup of coffee or an Oreo, or you start to scroll TikTok instead of concentrating on what you're doing? On average, we are distracted every 3 minutes. 3 minutes? That doesn't sound like very long to focus on work. And guess what? It takes 11 minutes to regain your focus. Do the math. The ability to stay focused is what's needed. So 40% of the time, when we get distracted from a deep work project, 40% of the time we don't resume what we were doing before. Or 2 hours later, you go, oh shit, what was I working on? What was I doing? Oh yeah. So how many times does that happen to you per day, per week, per month? You have to go to war with eliminating those distractions. Move from reacting to creating. Pomodoro method works well for me. 25 minutes on, 5-minute break. I stand up or I move in a different way. If I'm standing at my desk working for 25 minutes, I take a break and I do some squats or I do some sit-ups or I just get a drink of water. That's what works for me. Some people work better in 90-minute blocks of time with little breaks. Your boss isn't in the other room making you go back to work. We have to be in control of this ourselves. So if you have this muscle in your brain, to the ability to do this, but it's going unused, you have to train it. And here's how we're going to do it. Instead of taking a long walk, take a short walk every 30 minutes, every hour. Just a short walk around your house. Go from downstairs to upstairs. Go from upstairs to downstairs. Go outside, take a breath of fresh air, and then go back to work. Instead of trying to do more, do less. Like Nikki said, she's taking collaborations off the plate for 2024 and focused on her own business, getting her own clients. What needs to happen for you? I'm going to give you 2 examples of incredible entrepreneurs. One who I had the pleasure of meeting personally years ago, Tony Hawk. Now, he was known for being quite the party guy. He's actually at my house for a party, along with Steve Caballero and this whole, if anybody knows skateboarding, you know that crew. They were all at my house for a party. I didn't really know who they were. They were nobody famous to me at that point in the early 90s. And what I noticed is that they were mixing their business, Tony Hawk and Steve Caballero were mixing their business with fun and friends. And this struck me, even back then, that if your business isn't fun and you're not hanging around with fun people who would be your friends if you weren't working, you're doing something wrong. And he said one thing to me 30 years ago. He just started to make his business fun. And I thought, well, yeah, of course. But we've gotten away from that in the online space because we don't feel like it's in the real world. So, what are we going to do? I would like to invite you, instead of trying to do more, to do less. Don't focus on the minor projects. Pick 3 projects for 2024, 3 major projects, and those things that matter the least will fall off of your calendar if you're working on something really big. 10 years ago, a study by Fortune magazine polled 500 CEOs. 500 CEOs. 68% of them were not on social media. Never looked at it, didn't have profiles, didn't scroll. Why do you think that is? Because they're CEO of a Fortune 500 company. They don't have time for that nonsense. So isn't it time for us to get more serious about what we're doing in the online space? I would argue yes. Jack Welch said in this survey that he doubts that any Fortune 500 CEO would spend more than 1 minute thinking about what other people outside of their company thought about them. So this regimen I'm talking about of being on social or being on email and then being off, it's a rest and recovery cycle. And I could go more into rest and recovery, just like an athlete. Athletes spend hours and hours training for their sport. But just as important is the recovery, and often harder to do. So if we sprint 90 minutes at a time on our work, and if you do that too much, if you sprint 90 minutes and then another 90 minutes and another 90 minutes and another 90 minutes, you start to get diminished returns on your time. The first bout of 90 minutes, it might be productive, but by the 4th one, you're not doing so great because you're tired. Your brain's overworked, overstretched. So this recovery, this idea of rest, is the opposite of the hustle culture, the opposite of grind, the opposite of working 80 hours a week on a business that is not paying all of your bills. So schedule airplane time. I love airplane mode because nobody can get to you. You're going to set a timer for 90 minutes, and the first time you do this, it's going to be really hard, really hard. And your homework this week, takeaway from this workshop, is to spend 3 90-minute blocks working on what you need to get done that is not email or social media. And if you don't have a project that you're working on, a course, a book, a speech that's not on social media, that doesn't involve social media, well, we need to schedule a conversation. But I want you to aim for 3 of those 90-minute blocks this week, with the thought of, geez, I should be doing 3 of those blocks a day. What would my business look like if the 90-minute block in the morning was for exercise and the 90-minute block midday was for deep work, and the 90-minute block at the end of the day was just to look at email and respond, and I never looked at it in any other time of the day? How productive would my workday be? All right. Your bonus for today, because it's 4:55, is to find your power hours on your calendar right now. When are you most awake, most alert, most with it? For me, it's this time of the day, and that stinks. to be wide awake at 4 o'clock and know that I need to leave work at 5:30 and go do homework and dinner and dog walk and all the, I could work until 10 o'clock tonight and be wide awake and super focused. It's my uptime of the day. And for right now, the season of my life that I'm in, it doesn't work for me to work from 4 p.m. till 10 o'clock at night. So I had to adjust. But what does it look like for you? When are you most awake and most focused? And schedule your hardest tasks at that time. And don't tell me one of your hardest tasks is emails, because email is brainless. You don't need to use your most valuable, focused, alert time for social media or email. Does that resonate with anybody? Feel a little scary? Emails do deplete me. Yes. Yes, yes. Okay. Any questions on today? On your 3, I'll go over your 3 homework assignments one more time. So the 3 people that you could get rid of, the 3 tasks that you could get rid of, streamline, whatever that looks like, and then scheduling 3 90-minute blocks. And if you don't have time this week to fit those blocks in, what could get removed off your calendar to fit them? And will they be there on a continual basis moving forward?
Do you mean 3 90-minute blocks per day or per week?
Eventually per day.
Okay.
Right now, your homework is 3 of them in 1 week.
Because I don't work 5 hours a day. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
can.
like I can't do that in a day.
But eventually you could have 1 a day.
I gotcha.
You know, deep work, creative, inspired, planning, writing, creative time without distractions. All right, who has questions for me before we wrap up?
What was the second assignment?
3 things that could come off your list, and 3 people. So kind of similar to that not to-do list, Charlotte, you know, but really focused more on what tasks are you doing, you know, worried about what people are thinking, what could actually come off your calendar. And sometimes that not to-do list is more powerful than the to-do list.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Now, the boundary thing, I'll use my email boundaries. Anybody that is a client of mine, their email goes into a VIP box. Anybody who I'm friends with, connected to, inner circle connection, goes into another folder. And then everything that remains is something I've subscribed to, you know, and if it's not my learning topic, I don't even look at it. Unsubscribe. Don't even look. It will be there. If I'm meant to see it, it will be there later. And then I only check email once a day. And all of my clients know that if they need to get in touch with me, text me or use WhatsApp. Do not email me, because I'm only looking at 4 or 5 o'clock. And if you email me at 7 in the morning, you're going to be pissed off at 5:30 when I haven't answered you yet. Sorry. And that's okay, because it's my boundary. If we don't teach people how to treat us in business, you get walked all over. Any questions, insights, aha, takeaways. I'm going to go around the room and ask for takeaways in a minute, but let's address questions. Who's ready to commit? Yes. Daniel, did I get a thumbs up? Yes. Nikki? Okay.
I do
So-
have a question about balancing social media.
Sure.
Part of what we're supposed to be doing is, for a lot of our businesses, is to produce stuff, put on LinkedIn, engage, etc. How do you set up a boundary? I tend to go to LinkedIn to look up somebody's profile to find out something about them, or send a message, or post my own stuff. And then I see an article that, oh, that looks interesting. And then I'll read the article, or I'll, try to comment. How do you balance? Do you set a timer, or what? How do you fix that?
You could set a timer. Yes. Get used to setting a timer.
Okay.
But if you're going to social media to post your stuff, if it's posting time and you're not scheduling and you're doing that on a daily basis, go to do your stuff and get off. That's it. And posting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube should not take you more than 20 minutes if the content's already done. As long as you're only looking at Charlotte's profile. And that's the hard part. Get on and get off. Now, if it's time for you to go on to LinkedIn, I asked Mike to do this morning, to go on and do a search for his ideal client and save that search. And every day he's going to connect with 5 of those people from that list. Well, it's very easy every day to get distracted. But that once that search is done, the reach out part should take him 5 minutes once he gets used to it. If you don't go down the rabbit hole. And that's the key. Same thing with email. It takes 5 minutes to scroll your email to see if there's something important there. But the problem is we're looking for something from Jason Croft. No, he didn't email me yet. And you get distracted by something else. So that's why I just don't do it, because I know my brain. And this is really about knowing yourself and being radically honest. If Oreo cookies are your weakness and you're trying to lose 10 pounds, don't keep them in the kitchen. Same thing with social media for me. I deleted email from my phone. That helped as well. Okay. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this topic of focus and productivity, I would love to invite you to join me for more of these discussions on a monthly basis in the community. Most of you are members. This is the kind of stuff I want to focus on for the next year. How do I become more productive, more focused, and have more Mondays and Fridays where I'm only at work for an hour or 2 in front of my ideal people, the people I serve, or my clients? And if that sounds fun, send me a message, schedule a time, we'll chat about it. Any other questions or insights today? I want to go around the room and do takeaways, and then I'll go let you finish up your day. Jeff, what's your takeaway from today?
That email will suck me in every time, and so will social media.
Awesome. Charlotte, takeaway.
You've given me permission not to read everything I come across.
Ooh,
I tend to feel like I'm going to miss something if I don't read every article that, is in this place or that place.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Amy.
Like me, because I always forget when you don't say Floyo. It feels weird. So many takeaways. It's really that I have great systems and plans. I just need to flip and follow them and stick to them.
Well, is anybody else willing to not go to the bathroom with their phone anymore? Just that small thing. No, you're not. Jason, you have to take your phone. Guess how fast I got ready today without my phone in the bathroom? So no phone for hair and makeup time. It took me 20 minutes versus 40 because when my phone is with me, I'm answering stuff and responding and wow. Okay. So no more phone in the bathroom. Mike O'Neill, take away from today.
I was surprised that the 3 people tripped me more than it did.
Okay. Jason Croft.
I think the biggest thing that it did for me was make me realize that all of the tactics and all the things to remove the distractions, it's almost like there's a level above that for me, which is what are you really working on in life, in work, and all of that? Because I find those pockets of distraction-free time happen when, and they may be weeks long, right? When, oh, I'm dialed in. I know what I got to do. I know what needs to happen. And I'll find myself like, oh, delete. Oh, I don't care,
Yeah.
But when you're not quite sure and you're kind of, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Well, then everything's so, ooh, let me check, let me see. And so it's almost like getting to that focused, that not focused, but that intentional, like you talked about, find those big major things to focus on for the year and everything else falls away.
Yeah. That's that clarity piece. Clarity is the number one high performance habit for a reason. Because if you don't know where you're going, how can you possibly focus on it? Then everything becomes something you might miss. Great takeaway, Jason. Nikki, takeaway.
I love your idea of setting a timer when you're on social media, because my habit is to do it when I finally sit down at 10 o'clock at night and I just want to watch one mindless show like the Golden Girls. But I'll only say my happy birthdays. And then I realize 45 minutes goes by, which pushes my half hour of TV, which pushes my bedtime.
Yep.
So I'm going to set the timer and commit to when it goes off, I'm off social media, period.
Awesome. Awesome. It'll improve your sleep too.
Yes. And I can get up earlier.
Yeah. I mean, the boundary around electronics at nighttime, I walked into my husband's office. I was going to bed earlier last night than he was. He was still working. And I walked into his office like this. I didn't even want, he has 3 monitors and I didn't even want the light going into my brain. I was like, no, I can't look at your computer. And he thinks that's extreme, but that's the boundary I have in place, is not to look at electronics 2 hours before bed. So if I'm going to bed at 10, that means no phone after 8 p.m. And you have to have clarity on those boundaries in order to actually do it. If they're gray and fuzzy, doesn't work. So decide ahead of time. That's awesome. Judy, takeaway from today.
Yeah, I really like the idea of taking a look at all the inputs that I have and figuring out which ones to put more boundaries around.
Love it. Kat, thanks for joining us today. What was your takeaway?
Thank you for having me. I need to reschedule my calendar. So I'm doing some of the productive work when I'm most productive. So I'm like you, in the afternoons right now to 10 o'clock at night, I could go straight through, and I need to rearrange my calendar. So I have a couple of days where I'm doing that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, and maybe, because of other priorities or family or whatever, you can only do that 2 days a week, but that's when you can work on those really, longer, bigger projects. That's a great idea.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't work every day, but it can work some days.
Yes. Yes. Daniel.
Blocking for deep work. I mean, I know that's where I need to be, but just get aggressive. I pick up tasks. I look on my calendar. I don't see a place to put them. I put them back down. And what I need to do is, even if it's
Honor the
further out than
block.
I want it to be, it's
Honor.
block that time well
Yeah.
in advance and just hold it. Right. And I remind myself, I go on vacation and I'm away from my phone for almost the entire day and I don't check any email, and the world doesn't burn down. So why do I think that if I randomly take a Wednesday in the middle of February off, all of a sudden my world's going to collapse because I wasn't accessible that Wednesday? I gotta
Yeah.
keep reminding myself of what I already know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think honoring appointments with ourselves for deep work or exercise time or making dinner and doing homework, those blocks have to be just as important, if not more important, than our clients or a networking group. It sounds simple, but really is key, is that those times need to be just almost more important than anything else if you want to move the needle. David.
Hey there. I've been a student of this stuff for decades, right? And a lot of this is spot on, but it's a great reminder of me, especially the most effective tip that you gave was that my 90-minute block of focus. If I start my day on my biggest project of the week with that, that's when I succeed. So it's a great reminder of that. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And Wade, thanks for joining us today. What was your takeaway?
A couple of things. One is I got from this is starve distractions and feed focus. Busyness is not productivity. I know that. And I love the airplane mode. Just taking your phone, put it on airplane mode, you're not getting all the messages and stuff in. And then you block that time to just not get interrupted.
Love it. Love it. Don't schedule airplane mode when Charlotte's around, though, because she's very important. And I would argue that your phone, when it lights up like that, if it's sitting on your desk, face up, and you're on a call like this, and it lights up over here, you're still distracted by it for a microsecond. So when you're with other people, turn it over or put it out of sight. You will become the rare exception to the rule of being with other people and there's no phone on the table. People will feel like you're present with them in such a higher capacity. It's really amazing. Vicki, what was your takeaway from today?
Mine is just that I'm right with Jason. When you have really clarity on what you want to get accomplished, and mine is I've got that part, but then I've got how do I get there phobia. And so there are so many like AppSumo or all of these things where I'm going, ooh, do I need that? And I just need to just kick it off. I have seriously, there's not a thing that I do not have. And I need to just take all of that off and be done and streamline that email.
So I'm going to ask you, what does it feel like to know you have everything you need? We talked about this last week. You have everything you need.
I do.
Allow that to sink in for a second. That's huge. And it's a feeling of calm, of no longer seeking something outside of ourselves that we need to get, do, or subscribe to complete that missing thing that we feel like we're missing. That's almost a level of calm, I would argue, that is attractive to other people. They're not going to know what it is, but they're going to feel like, wow, I feel different when I'm with her. Because she's not always looking for something outside of herself. Wow, that's pretty cool. Anyway, off my soapbox on that today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'll hang out for